It's like
But
that's all they have. They're just a trivial, fucking arbitrary shit that they think they could just take pot shots at.
they have
Like,
more of that. But yo, millennials are a weird group. I really respect the young ones. Yo, you're not the only person I've talked to in your. In fact, everybody I've talked to in your age group has been as profoundly insightful as you are when it comes to both music history and
that's a relief.
all of
I gotta
it.
be honest. That's a relief. That's a
Because
relief. That's a good thing to hear.
all of y'all grew up with YouTube in high school and plenty of fucking time in. What do you like?
You know what
Everybody
though?
goes down the rabbit holes. Like, yo, all of like the. I have this 22-year-old guy in Scotland I've been talking to for a couple of years because of my channel and shit. And he just looks for shit with 1,000 views. And then he'll send me this 1992 jam that he just discovered that he thinks I would know, and he just wants to show it. It's like, it's wildly interesting to watch how young people treat YouTube. Like, everything in all history is new music to them. And I feel like old people rely on, like, literally the new music in the convention of, like, when shit gets released, and not actually considering that old music is new music if you've never heard it before.
I mean, they grew up in the era where things were not like as easy to discover. Like, and you know what? You telling me that just I was having an argument with some people on Reddit, as productive as that isn't, and and
Every time a story starts with that, it's going to get good.
yeah. But I was trying to prove a point. It was about the whole like Astroworld Travis Scott situation, and um, somehow we ended up going into like boomers and shit. And I was like, man, and I'm not too optimistic about the future. I'm not on some turbo hippie shit, even though I kind of believe in some hippie shit.
That's amazing.
But I just feel like today's generation has way more access to information to the point where a lot of the arbitrary shit that boomers were corrupt, that boomers believe, the older generations believe, it's less easy to corrupt someone's mind because, back in those days you only had like what you were taught in school, TV, the newspaper, all that shit, and it's way more easy to just make a narrative stick. Now it's like, and people are still gonna believe in their narratives. We're tribal fucking species. It is what it is. But
you know what it is though. It comes down because literacy rates be wildly interesting because people don't know what literacy means. Literacy means you can read good enough to do your job. It doesn't mean you have critical thinking skills. So
right, exactly.
I think a lot of people got some shit twisted about how critical thinking. There's no critical thinking rate, so we don't actually know how good people as a population be at critical thinking, which is the interpretation of the shit that you hear. So what I think has changed for young people is there's a fuck ton of people that are really good at critical thinking that are making hella bank explaining old people shit to young people in young people language. Mm-hmm. And y'all are getting informed on YouTube and Reddit and TikTok and all these alternate sources where the people that really are good at this shit are just spreading the info. Like, y'all don't hoard knowledge the way that old people hoard knowledge. And I respect the shit out of young people for that.
Hell yeah. Absolutely. And it's important, man. And I hope it does get better before we, obviously something's got to give because, I don't think the whole like generations upon generations of ultra wealthy capitalist extremist bullshit is gonna go away like anytime soon. But I don't know, man. It starts with us though. It starts with us because we got to be the ones to say no, not the other way around.
I saw an ad from Ford right before this interview just to show the power of what young people have done. The ad from Ford started listing all of the various plants they use in their car. Like, they were really proud of their coconut fiber threads that make their seats more comfortable. And then they started talking about how prickly peaches and other shit is going to be in their fucking cars. And they're like really proud of this. And now, and this is no fucking lie, you can Google this shit. You can go to fordsmoothie.ca or com or whatever, and you can make a smoothie out of the fucking shit that is in Ford cars.
That's fucking crazy.
And you know why that happened? Because a bunch of young people have proven that unless you are altruistic as a company, they ain't gonna fuck with you. Ben and Jerry's does Ben and Jerry's don't give a fuck about old people. They just care about the future generation that's going to spend 60 years committed to them, which is smart business if you're an ice cream company, to be honest with you. Why are you going to invest in people that are going to die sooner?
And that's such the opposite of a lot of old people because, and especially when it comes to like climate change, they're like, I don't give a fuck. All I give a fuck about is me being able to have a fucking job. That's all they care about. They don't care about the future. They just care about, you know, themselves and being able to satisfy themselves at that particular moment in time. And it's why we're so pretty much damn near held hostage by that mentality.
I mean, old people rely on old people thinking, and in the
Yeah.
2010s, the idea of scaling got really popular. So now basically everything's a software company, even if you're not, and
Hmm.
everything has to grow and scale and go to subscription models because pretty much the whole world is run by a stock market system upon which the really rich venture capitalists only want to fund things that they can see crazy growth rates because fucking Uber, because Amazon, because pick your fucking company.
Yeah.
And so like when you work in, I can't go too deep, but like when you look at the trends that are super publicly available with software companies, you see that stuff like this book Blitzscaling shows that the entire fucking focus is growth.
Hmm.
And young people be like, why do you need to grow like to that excess? But old people, like, that's their job. And so everybody supports this mission. And then what's happening in the micro is people cop a house because the American dream is to cop a house, right? And
Yeah.
that house is
Exactly.
cool. Then they get promoted, they get more cash flow, they have some more offsprings, and they cop a second house. That house, they have to keep their fucking job now because they can't lose that
Yeah.
house.
They
And
yeah
that's
they're
the
in that
point
they're in the
where,
trap of financial trap because
and it's that it's always the upgraded house. It's never the first
yeah.
house. It seems like starter houses people can manage, but when they decide to upgrade to that like forever home, I think they're called, nobody can ever like afford their forever home unless they keep the salary range they in. So they always
Right.
upgrade like to a point where, and now you can't go backwards, so you have to be complicit to the forever growth because the forever
Right.
growth pays for the forever home.
Right. And I think it's just it's excess and affirmation because I feel like a lot of people they do a lot of things for affirmation in this society, like having a kid. You know, other people make ceremonies out of other people having kids, and you know, if you're actually friends with somebody and you have a party because they have a kid like that, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like people that literally have no other identity than you know they do this for affirmation or they want to be included in somebody else's accomplishments, and I just think that shit is really fucking gross, especially like romanticizing other people's children. I just think that's really weird and just not, and it can lead to those kinds of things because oh well, you know the consensus is that I have to do this, and then the problem is they don't teach financial shit in K-12 education, so that's why you see a lot of younger
Yo,
people.
I always thought it was weird that people push to teach as much financial shit in school. Can I say this? Because, yo, we grew up on welfare. I don't want to be
Mhm.
doing financial shit growing up on welfare. Our financial reality is so fucking different than the average middle class suburban person, where it's like, I don't think everyone really considers how much differences there are in tax codes that like you basically really just should be teaching people to fucking find an accountant they trust because like shit's not uniform for tax, right?
Right.
And so many
Yeah.
realities are like, nah, this is like your parents should be teaching you tax code shit. Like there
I
is an
agree.
obligation of education that should not be in the fucking school. Like, yo,
Right.
if
I
my
mean,
parents want to teach me how to do a thing or two with the accountant, that's my parents' obligation. The
I
school
think it's
should
kind of
maybe
like
break down the top level of the government structure, maybe,
right.
because I don't think my parents know that shit. But like when you get to specifics, yo, like if you grow up on welfare and half the income is coming from fucking government assistance and then another chunk's coming from under the table work,
Hmm.
you can't teach that in school. You're not even
Right.
talking
Yeah.
about where I grew up from then.